Good morning, I'm Wendy Burke and this is the CBC Morning Report for Friday, October 8th. In our top story, Prime Minister Mia Motley says there's a major issue of fair trading in a digital economy that has to be addressed. Speaking last night on the Barbados Central Bank's Caribbean Economic Forum entitled From Inequality and Vulnerability Prosperity, she pointed to revelations this week concerning the owner's giant's Facebook as proof there's need for fair trading.
Right now we have a major problem that the region is going to have to face because a large percentage of the advertising revenue with respect to digital advertising is not in fact coming to the local media. Now that has serious implications also for the stability of our democracy. So that's why I smiled, even though you can't see it, when you talked about digital colonialism. And in truth and in fact, in the other area which you're involved in now, one of the biggest reasons for vaccine hesitancy has come as a result of fake news. And the world has learned that 65 to 2/3 of all of the information from anti-vaxxers was being generated by 12 people. So when we talk about the private oligopoly that are literally controlling this information and movement, we saw it, and in fact today in the Creative Industries report, Dr. Annalie Babb and Mr. Adrian Green reported that their session, their forum, were extremely concerned, and that which they spoke about came to pass on Monday when Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, all of them went down. So we believe that, look, we have to pause. I don't know anything about algorithms sufficiently, but I do know that how you program algorithms can determine what comes at the top and what never comes to be seen at all. And therefore, can there be fair trade for persons who are producing goods and who have no access to the kinds of power to influence what goods come to the top and what goods stay at the bottom?
Central Bank Governor of Kenya, Patrick Njoroge, agrees there are some negatives with big business and technology that need to be watched. However, there are also positives that need to be embraced.
There has been a lot of push in terms of financial inclusion in the recent years in Africa, mainly driven by technology, as you've mentioned. And yes, a lot of that has been mobile money, but it isn't just mobile money. But I think the point here is that we are now getting sort of ecosystems that can push us even further. At the end of the day, the objective is democratization of financial services. That's really what it is. And through financial services, access to commodities, etc. So I think from our perspective, we do need to, let's say, watch on the risks, but at the same time push on the benefits so that we can quickly get our young people, provide them with the opportunities that the minister talked about, because in the future, jobs will have to be, if we were thinking meaningful jobs, they have to be connected somehow with these new technologies that are coming through.
On the question concerning if the recently concluded UNCTAD 15 was just a talk shop, Deputy Secretary General of UNCTAD, Madame Isabelle Durand, says the work towards the goals continues in earnest.
A lot of things are starting tomorrow, and not only in Barbados. We will have the meeting of the IMF in the fall. We will have the ministerial conference of WTO in November, discussing all the issues on fisheries and a lot of issues related to trade and environment. When the WTO was created in 1995, climate issue or environmental issue was not perceived as important as it is today. Thirdly, we will have the COP, of course, the COP in December, November. And this COP has also to discuss the question of the fund, the famous $100 million US dollar, and the money for adaptation, but also how we will try, or they will try in the COP to really go a bit further. You remember that the past COP was a big failure. Nothing happened. So the COP of last year was, of course, cancelled because of COVID-19, but the COP before it was completely without any results. So I think that now every member states, every head of states, every minister of environmental climate are really on the wall, and they have to move, and they will move. I'm sure that they have to move.
Next on CBC Morning Report, updates on the COVID-19 pandemic. $259 new COVID-19 cases, 129 males and 130 females were reported on Wednesday from the 2,165 tests conducted by the Dos Santos Public Health Laboratory. The new positives consist of 65 people under the age of 18. There are 647 people in isolation facilities and 1,491 in home isolation. Under the National Vaccination Program, 140,159 first doses of the COVID-19 vaccines have been administered. 109,785 people are fully vaccinated. From Monday, Trinidad and Tobago will have safe zones in place, which will have fully vaccinated members of the public allowed to partake in specific activities. Minister of Health Terence Dayal Singh provides further insight into the initiative.
The types of establishments, as we have been saying, will be restaurants, bars, a common gaming house, bet and pool or office, but you must be licensed under the Gambling and Betting Act, a cinema, theater, licensed under the Cinematograph Act, a private members club, licensed under the Registration of Clubs Act, a theater under the Theater and Dance Halls Act, gyms and fitness studios, which will give us, Dr. Othello, a great degree of mental health relief, and water parks. The water parks have been closed for a long time. I think it is time to open them back. What are the rules or the requirements for the safe zone? We have certain conditions for employees, certain conditions for patrons. As we have indicated and signaled over a month ago, all employees must be fully vaccinated. A person is considered to be fully vaccinated 2 weeks after receiving the final recommended vaccine dose. So if it's a one shot and done, 2 weeks after that one shot, or if you're on a 2-dose regime, 2 weeks after your second shot of a WHO approved vaccine or WHO approved vaccine combination.
It's time now for a preview of what's coming up on Morning Barbados. And for that, we say good morning to Pearson, D'Artagnan, Dalrymple Bowen.
What? A double-barreled one? D'Artagnan Dalrymple. Not bad, Wendy Desdemonda Burke. Thank you for that. I like it.
You're most welcome.
What do you think of yours, Desdemonda?
Desdemona is fine.
No,
She's
that's not
historical.
Desdemona.
Oh, it's not-
Desdemonda.
Oh, no, no.
You see, you reject my names all the
Mona
time.
is fine.
No. Monda.
Mona is fine, but Monda,
Well, your face
not
tells
so
me it
sure
could
on
be
that
Desdemona,
one.
but that's all right. Indeed we shall. Folks, coming up at 6:30 when we start Morning Barbados here on TV8, we'll be looking deeper at education. It's Education Month with the theme Education Reimagined, exploring new frontiers for teaching, learning and national development for the 21st century. We're going to be joined with the people who are in the center of it all. The education officer, Dr. Denise Charles, a teacher and a principal. Brittany Seeley will be back. She'll be with us this morning. She, as you know, is the founder and chief executive officer of Work Consultancy Inc. We're looking at boosting your employability as a student, getting you ready for the world of work. And that amazing Barbadian artist Indra will be joining us a little later on as well. So just a bit of what is coming up at 6:30 on Morning Barbados. Back to you, Desdemonda.
Well, thank you, D'Artagnan Dalrymple. We'll see you at the bottom of the hour. We'll take another break and return with more news. Barbados' historic hosting of UNCTAD 15 culminated yesterday with the adoption of the Bridgetown Covenant and the Spirit of Speightstown. Their importance, particularly at this time, was stressed by the leaders, including Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley. CBC's Aaliyah Briggs reports.
If there are no objections, let us now so do. The Bridgetown Covenant is now formally adopted by UNCTAD 15 conference.
5 days of intense discussions and negotiations culminated with the political declaration of UNCTAD 15 and the adoption of the Bridgetown Covenant. The political declaration of UNCTAD, the Spirit of Speightstown, was introduced by Minister Sandra Husbands.
The Spirit of Speightstown seeks to capture the main challenges impacting our family of nations and their development aspirations, but particularly those amongst us that are most vulnerable. Building on the theme from inequality and vulnerability to prosperity for all, the Spirit of Speightstown declares our vision for achieving the transformations necessary to build resilience and to achieve our coveted sustainable development agenda.
In spite of numerous delays to the conference triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic, the Bridgetown Covenant was formally finalized and implemented. This document will guide the work of UNCTAD over the next 3 years. Prime Minister of Barbados and President of UNCTAD, Mia Amor-Motley, says this document allows UNCTAD to be a voice for developing countries seeking to advance in trade and development.
UNCTAD must keep close to its original purpose, that it must be the voice of developing countries as we seek to deal with issues of trade and development, and to create that platform that ultimately will lead from inequality and vulnerability to prosperity.
Experts, ambassadors, and officials were all involved in the negotiations, which helped develop the document that is expected to inform policies in the areas of trade, food security, digitization, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Elia Briggs, CBC News.
The services sector was one of the areas which gained attention at the just concluded UNCTAD 15. The Barbados Coalition of Service Industries staged the cultural exhibition Firefly, which featured creatives in a number of areas. Among them was Alanis Ford, a visual artist. And she's with us this morning to look at how the conference helped her sector. Morning to you, Alanis.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well. Okay, first off, let's look at UNCTAD and your participation in Firefly. How would you say it benefited your sector and you specifically?
Well, I have been with Firefly for about 3 years, helping them bring together artists in Barbados to give them a platform that they otherwise wouldn't have. In this case, it is always my goal, and I believe the goal of Firefly, to elevate the voices that, would find it difficult to reach out to the international market. And in this case, we did it slightly different. We pre-recorded, because usually Firefly is an event where people can come to and meet different local artists, not only visual artists, but singers, fashion designers. So this year we wanted to, we had the opportunity to collaborate with United Nations, and we obviously jumped on that. And the goal is and always will be to elevate and get inside the market outside of Barbados. And also to show Barbadians, that visual art and art is something that can be taken seriously and is a job.
Opportunities after the conference. What do you envisage in terms of the linkages and connections you would have made?
I hope to, as always, expand my market, expand my clientele. But it was mostly for the artists that are a little bit more emerging than me, because I have been able to, make a mark in a way, a slight mark in a way, with the market overseas in terms of being in shows in LA, New York, and I have one coming up in London, Miami, etc. So my goal coming in with Firefly as the curator of this event was to help younger artists here in Barbados to start to make that connection.
Okay, how comfortable are they with getting their work into another market in terms of, its interpretation being fully understood and appreciated?
I believe as an artist, the work you create and what you want the message to be, and your concepts is always, with the artist. We can't really help how someone interprets our artwork due to people coming from different backgrounds, having different biases, etc. So our goal is to put forth the strongest work and obviously do our research, try to create strong work in that sense conceptually. And interpretations they always differ depending on the person. It's just to put forward the best and put forward the best and always,
Now, the conference would have spoken a lot about trade links with Africa. What scope do you see for yourself and the other visual artists getting into that market?
I would say right now in the contemporary and conceptual art market in Africa, is starting to grow in terms of the artists that we're seeing coming out of that space. Also, a lot of eyes are turning towards Caribbean artists as well. So I believe now is the time to capitalize on that and, be seen on online and, apply to different areas, maybe residencies in Africa. And I believe this conference that we just had, this collaboration with United Nations that we just had, is a great space to and platform to be able
to enjoy the balance of your morning.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, continuing now with news. Family safety is a top priority when home isolation is instituted. During yesterday's COVID-19 media conference, Consultant Manager for Home Isolation, Dr. Adana Grandison, gave the scenario of a single mother having to stay at home with their children. She said in such a case, clinical assessment is necessary.
There are some persons who, as I said earlier, who may not have any symptoms, but their social situation is such that if, for instance, let's give an example, if we have a single mother at home, she is positive, but she has, let's say, children. Are we going to keep that mom at home with the 6 children and she needs care? Or are we going to escalate mommy to in-house facility or central facility so that she can get care? Now, a number of things need to happen. We also need to know the status of the children, but certainly if mommy needs care, we need to escalate her care. But we also need to be able to provide for mommy and the rest of her household.
Across Barbados, the concern of many is the issue of pay to employees who have had to quarantine with their children but have not tested positive for COVID-19. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Anton Best says individuals can be compensated for their days spent in quarantine if the right diagnosis is placed on their national insurance form.
The agreement is that persons can be compensated for days away from work once the correct diagnosis is placed on the form. So even though the scenario that you painted is one in which the parent is accompanying the child, and the child is one that's sick and the parent is not sick, the diagnosis for the parent is actually exposure to an infectious disease. So it can be compensated under the agreement with the National Insurance Department.
In sports, medium pacer Shivam Mavi snapped up 4 wickets at the Kolkata Knights. Riders crushed Rajasthan Royals by 86 runs in yesterday's IPL. Sent into bat, KKR posted a challenging 171 for 4 off their 20 overs, led by Shubman Gill with 56. In reply, Mavi took 4 for 21 as they ran through the Royals batting lineup to leave them 85 all out in 16.1 overs.
Down the wicket, down the ground. Has he got enough? I think he has. Unacademy, cracking 6.
leapfrog KKR into 4th place, but will need to beat 171 runs in their final match at 10 this morning. It's time now for a look at our weather picture. We had some rains overnight last night. Let's see what today's going to be like. In Barbados right now, it's fair at 25.4 degrees Celsius, but it feels like 32. The humidity stands at 91% and the barometric pressure 1013.9 millibars. The winds are coming from the east-southeast at 26 kilometers per hour. The first low tide will be at 10:38 a.m. and the second at 11:18 p.m. High tide will be at 4:56 p.m. If you're heading over to the beach, it's expected to be moderate in Oper, with swells ranging from 1.5 to 2 meters and increasing. Today, the forecast, a mix of sunshine and clouds with a few brief scattered light showers. Tonight is expected to be a mix of clear skies and clouds with the occasional brief scattered light to moderate showers and a very slight chance of isolated thunderstorms. And here is now a look at the international cities. That was today's morning report. Our next newscast on TV8 will be Newsday at noon. We now join Pearson Bowen for Morning Barbados.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning.
Good morning indeed. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning indeed to you, wherever you are. Thank you so much for joining us right here on Morning Barbados. They call me D'Artagnan today. That's all right. I'm Pearson Bowen. That's what my mother called me. And I'm welcoming all of you here in Barbados and across the globe as well. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, thank you. On our Facebook streams as well, remember to like our Facebook page, Morning Barbados. You'll see us streamed there live as well. So very good morning to you. It's Friday. It's the start of the weekend. I think a lot of us look forward to most. When those of us who work Monday to Friday, you can sleep a little longer because the alarm is not going to go off that early the following day. So enjoy your Friday night sleep. Just want to remind you that next week, all week next week, Monday to Friday, we encourage you with us here on Morning Barbados to spot the pink ribbon. You get a chance to win. So you have to watch from beginning to end. You just don't know when or where it will pop up. And wherever it pops up each day, you identify that location. So don't just say it's on the wall, but where? Whose wall where? You know, so on Monday, you'll identify that location. Tuesday, same, right through to Friday. Each day you note it down. And then at the end of the Friday's location, you send all per day into us here at CBC. All right? So to morningbarbados@cbc.bb. So that's a little something to look forward to for next week, Monday to Friday. Keep watching. We're doing this in association with the breast screening program here in Barbados. Coming up today, we meet a man who has written and released a song, Sing Hope for Haiti. And we'll hear from Leo just a little bit about why he's crafted and created that song and what he hopes to earn from that song as well. And we encourage you to stand by for that. We'll also today be looking about the upcoming Night of the Stars. And so we're into one of those kinds of weekends. So the QCHC Alumni Association will be joining us to remind us of what is coming up tomorrow. But let's get started by looking at what's happening even today. Education. And we're joined this morning by Dr. Denise Charles, who is an education officer and the chair of the planning committee. Also Randy Eastman, who is a peripatetic teacher, and he's also part of that planning committee, and Aki Leifel, the principal of the Icefield School. And we brought them together because education is so central to everything we do. Good morning to each of you.
Good morning, Pearson.
Hey, good morning.
Good. As I promised, we come back together because we ain't done. Education never stops. Learning never stops. And so
you held your word.
Yeah, you know me, Denise. I'm a man to my word. So I just want to do a quick review because we've had the church service already, and there are a number of other things coming up as part of Education Month. And before we get into the other discussion, I want to give you a chance to share with everybody what else we can expect.
Thank you, Pearson, and good morning, Barbados. Education Month promises to be extremely informative, interesting, and even exciting, if I may say so. This year, our theme, Education Reimagined, Exploring New Frontiers for Teaching, Learning, and National Development in the 21st Century, is a very critical theme. And some of the activities that we have coming up that are very significant. Next week, Wednesday, we're hearing a lot right now about mental health and the need for us to preserve our mental health, particularly within the context of COVID-19 and all of the challenges that many of us are experiencing. And even outside of that, in terms of the very course of our lives, we need to take care of ourselves. And we have a very interesting panel discussion lined up next week, a health seminar online. And the theme is Take Good Care of Me, Self-Care and Renewal from the Inside Out. Now, we know there's a lot of focus today on what we look like. You know, we want to have our hair on point. Those of us who wear makeup, you know, we want to be concerned about, we're generally concerned about how we present ourselves, and that is very much a part of the human experience. But we think that it is also critical to look on the inside. So our seminar next week will be focusing on both aspects of our lives. And as educators, we are people too. And whether you're a parent, whether you're a student, an educational, it doesn't matter, of an educational leader, it is important that you take good care of yourself, because when you are in good health, both in terms of mind and body, you are better poised to do your job well. You're better poised to be a better parent, you know, to be a better child. It doesn't matter when you take good care of you. So we're going to be looking at that next week with a very, very interesting panel. We have Dr. Donna Matthews, an aesthetic, a specialist in aesthetic medicine. We have Mrs. Heather Phillips Boyce, the education officer from the Ministry of Education, who focuses on food and nutrition and healthy living, healthy exercise, etc. for our students. We have Mrs. Alison Brown Ellis, a very well-known corporate executive in Barbados, a beautiful lady, and also a John Maxwell coach, and she'll be looking a lot at taking care of the inside. And we also have Maxine Thomas, an instructor in cosmetology and a qualified beautician for over 35 years with a master's in trichology. So we're really going to be drilling down into what it takes to look after the self next week. And apart from that, I want to mention that during this Education Month, something that is extremely important is the fact that our Minister of Education, the Honorable Santia Bradshaw, will be meeting with our constituents in education, most importantly our students and our teachers throughout the month. Now, these will not be public sessions, but we think it is important that you know that this is happening. This activity is extremely important to education, education development, and even education reform as we move forward in Barbados, because we want to hear the opinions of our students. We want to know how they've been experiencing the online environment, what their challenges are, even what their wishes and desires are for education. From the primary right through to the secondary, the minister will be meeting with groups of students as well as with all, both at the primary and secondary level. This will begin in October and extend into November, and I think this is extremely critical in Education Month.
All the inputs are absolutely critical, but there are different methods of educating our people as well, because we have varying skill sets. And this is where, Randy, I want you to explain to us now, given all that you do as one of those mobile teachers, as it relates to the creative sector. What else is happening for Education Month, and how are people and students engaging with the social media, the new media in Education Month?
Well, as you said, Pearson, you know, the creative arts is essential to education, and as peripatetic teacher, I have particular responsibility for music. Like as I mentioned last time, you know, I basically assist teachers with the pedagogy and the methodology used within the music classroom. In this particular environment, we are in an online space, and teachers have been very creative in terms of how they have utilized that particular technology to implement music. For Education Month, what we're doing, we're going to have a creative art showcase, and that is going to feature the developmental component of music and the arts within the education sphere. Over the last, let's say, 3 years, we've had Schools Music Festival, we've had several performances by students, we've had showcases of art, visual arts, theater arts, culinary arts even, and this creative arts festival will feature pieces by the students themselves over the last 3 years, and it gives them a chance to showcase what they've done. Actually, the ministry will just be showcasing what we have been producing or what the schools have been producing. We are very proud of the students, and we also boast of a plethora of creative teachers who are not only educators, but they're also professionals in their area of specialty.
Now, Akil, because you are a private operation, the Eiffel School education facility there. And so you approach education a little differently. I want to bring all of your heads together now, because we are trying to reimagine education, all part of national development. What would you put on the table as critical for review as we now begin our conversation on how we reimagine education?
Well, there's several aspects to look at it, to be honest. And it's really interesting you brought this particular panel together, because Dr. Charles, I know her sons, they're graphic designers. They're some of the most talented people. Randy and I went to school together. He did music. I did theater arts and graphic design and stuff like that. So if you're going to reform education, the first thing you have to look at is what type of student do you want to create at the end? Do you want a student who is just going to output 10 or 8 CXCs, or do you want a student who is capable of responding to the changing needs of society? And what is happening now is that we are seeing an explosion of creative arts, and it isn't just because it has been stifled, because it has been for a long time. Even physical education is very important. So in a reform, physical education teachers must be treated just the same as everybody else. Creative arts teachers, for far too long, our schools have not had enough teachers who are specialized or trained in just dealing with the creative arts, because you have students who can draw, students who can paint, students who are into music from primary school, and programs like the Junior Monarch and Randy and I, we know about that directly, and the culinary showcase. I thought that those were some really good ideas. But reading, literacy, to me, is the #1 challenge that will be faced, because those students who are in Infants A, Infants B, especially because of the last year or two, they would have had deficits and challenges that they have to overcome before they move on to the next stage. So any input besides creative arts and physical education, there must be strong literacy programs where students who have difficulties reading, the ministry could probably implement phases where each year you can pull out students who may have difficulties with phonics, with syllables, with reading, and you put them in a program where they can develop until they reach the class standard.
We're talking about national development. We're talking about education to build citizens of our society and citizens of the world who are competent and capable as Barbadians to be able to interface with any piece of technology or anyone, anywhere, and be as good as. So how are we going to, what are the areas, Dr. Denise, that we will think that we need to really begin to hone in on to strengthen and perhaps to explore even more so that we become better citizens of this space?
Thank you, Pearson, for that question. Actually, this is moving right into one of my, I would say, pet areas, or one of the areas that I think is significant. We have to recognize that we're living in an entirely different world today. As I have said in my first interview on Tuesday, we are in the digital revolution. We are living in the fourth industrial revolution, entirely different. And I agree entirely with what Akil said, that we need to hone and develop our students' literacy skills, our students' numeracy skills. These are basic and fundamental no matter what subject or discipline or area the child is going to branch off into in terms of career interests, etc. These are fundamental literacy and numeracy. But what we also need to recognize and hone in on today is the whole question of digital literacy. What is digital literacy and why is it so important for living and working in the 21st century? So I think as we move out and build out our reform initiatives, certainly we're going to be seeing the importance of building our students' digital competencies and digital skills, even as we develop them in our teachers through teacher training. We also want to be developing these elements in our students, because a lot of the challenges that our students have faced, there's this whole concept of students being born within a particular era being digital natives, meaning that they're au fait with the technology, they're comfortable with it. And what a lot of teachers have found, that the students were perhaps only digital natives within the context of social media. They know how to use Instagram, they know how to use Twitter, they know how to use TikTok. And we can import these social media platforms into our teaching as well. So I'm not pulling them down. I'm just saying that there were other competencies and skills, something as basic as understanding how to use email, how to use the keyboard. They're basic skills that students didn't have. And these are all a part of building our students' digital literacy skills. So I think as we move forward into education, we have to understand that while traditional literacy will never disappear and its importance can never be minimized at any stage in our development, we must understand that in the 21st century, we must move towards frameworks for digital literacy and building out this capacity so that we build 21st century students who can function in any part of the globe. And when we think of digital literacy, we're not only speaking about their technical skills, we're speaking about their ability to function, their ability to make good judgments, their ability to act with ethics when they're online. It addresses issues like cyberbullying, practicing good digital well-being in terms of how much time do you spend online. So these are the types of competencies that we need to build out in our students, and they're applicable right across the board. So it does not matter whether a student is doing the arts, it does not matter whether a student is doing business, whether a student is doing the sciences and technology, vocational subjects. Literacy, core literacy, traditional literacy is required, because you must be able to read and comprehend to understand what you're doing. And digital literacy is also required, because you have to operate in a digital space today, whether you're a carpenter or whether you're a lawyer.
We're going to take a break here, we'll come back, but I also want to look at how much broader we can make education. We oftentimes as a society think that education ends with 18 or 25 or thereabouts, and thereafter you just coast your way through. After this break, we'll continue this discussion on education.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
If you've just joined us this morning, we're looking at Education Reimagined. We're looking at exploring new frontiers in learning, teaching, and national development for the 21st century. In with us this morning is Dr. Denise Charles, who is an education officer and chair of the Planning Committee for Education Month. With her is Randy Eastman, a teacher and also a part of that committee, and Akil Eiffel, who is the principal and founder of the the Eiffel School. I was going to name it after yourself, Akil. But you know, Randy, in all the discussion, we oftentimes think, oh, literacy and numeracy, and somehow the whole question of creative skill sets are never factored into that discussion in a very big way. How do you muscle your way into this discussion so that you recognize that the people who are very, very skilled at creative arts also get some attention and some focus?
I don't think I even need to muscle my way into the discussion, simply because the creative arts is a natural process in education. Creative persons within the school are usually called to perform at graduations, speech days, morning assembly even. You may have music teachers who may play the school hymn, songs for assembly, and some student or teacher takes part in those activities or is highlighted in those particular areas. So the creative arts necessarily don't have to muscle their way in. I think we more so may fight for a position and for the respect that is due for the creative arts in terms of its contribution towards education. If we go deeper into scholarly literature and we look at the reason for having music or having art as a part of the curriculum, its natural contribution towards education and even spatial temporal reason in the case of music, we see that scholars have identified those particular contributions that the arts have made, and you know, it is a necessary part of education and must be considered. So you know, it is a natural thing, Pierce. I don't think we need to fight for it. I just think we need to continue to showcase what the creative arts can do and the positive contribution is made to society. Additionally, how persons have used the creative arts in a positive way to channel their energies in this particular area, and they've made a living from it. They've showed their skill set, they've showed their talent, and they have pursued this particular discipline and made a lucrative living from it.
And you're right, but oftentimes in traditional educational institutions, you hear the child who wants to paint, the child who wants to sing, that's just for fun. That's something you're good at, great, well, wonderful. But I want you to sit down and do your maths. I want you to sit down and do your history. I want you to sit down and do your English, because that's really what education is. And that's what I'm talking about. How do you change that construct in the minds of people? And I'm talking people in general, whether it's a parent or general society, that the child who is creative is as equal to that child who is also good at those other formal subjects.
Yes, we
Kirsten,
must.
can I jump in here?
Sure, you may.
Yeah, sure, go ahead, Denise.
Okay, I was just saying that, you know, at the Ministry of Education, we are working steadfastly to change a lot of those traditional mindsets. And there are some new initiatives that we'll be rolling out that will show how we are working very hard to change those mindsets, because we want principals, we want teachers, we want parents to understand that the arts are to be as respected as any other educational pursuit. Those who want to pursue technology, those who want to pursue the sciences, those who want to pursue the arts are part of the humanities, but those who may want to pursue business, it doesn't matter. All areas of education, all of them are equal, and they are vital to our functioning as a society, both here in Barbados and across the world. But what I wanted to point out is that we tend to only see the arts within a vacuum. We think of drawing, we think of painting, we think of sculpture, dance, and we see these things as separate. But I want you to understand that these can be integrated into the general curriculum. So a teacher who's teaching social studies, for example, we've had examples of this, and we've had our officers do workshops to show teachers how they can incorporate theater, for example, in the teaching of social studies. Music can be incorporated into the teaching of mathematics. We can use drawing and painting along with English literature to help students illustrate stories and to journal, etc. So when we do journaling, we don't only have to have our students write, but they can also draw an accompanying or paint an accompanying piece of art to depict what they want to say. So the arts are to be integrated into the curriculum. And we know that there are several teachers across the system, both at the primary and secondary level, experimenting with this. And perhaps we would want to do more training in this area so that our teachers become more accustomed to seeing the curriculum in a very integrated way, so that everything can be brought together and everything can be respected and it can redound to the benefit of our students, because that's the direction we want to go in.
Absolutely. Akil, different approaches. I know that's what the Eiffel School prides itself in being able to do, different approaches. What are some of the ideas that you'd, and look at your approach to education, how do you incorporate creative arts and creative skills and all those kinds of things into what you do there at the Eiffel School?
Okay, well, first of all, Pearson, what Dennis was saying, I totally agree with. And the interesting thing is, because of my background and the school that ran here, I went to foster a lot of creative arts. I would not be where I am today without teachers like Isel Phillips, without Michael Small, without Miss B, who did volleyball. And when I went to university, the Arabar Center for Creative Imagination wasn't built yet. And I remember I wanted to study theater, and the only avenue I could have gone to would have been BCC. So since it was already at the university, when I applied, did it, etc., theater arts was new. I remember when it was at Commonwealth School, theater arts was now brought to CXC, and we were the first group in the Caribbean to do it, and that was a fantastic experience. So having been in a situation at CSEC level, at Cape level, and at the university level where it has been new, to bring that creative arts element to the school, I try to ask the students, what is it that you want to do? So for example, I have a student, Ethan Paris. He said he wants to be a YouTuber. And I personally do not see anything wrong with that. But I told him, to be a YouTuber, you have to have good video skills, you have to have good photography skills, you have to have good audio skills, because you have to mix music, you have to edit, and you have to do things like that. So for example, this month, we have a project where the students have to learn how to edit and make movies on their iPads. And I'm glad that Dennis also spoke about digital literacy, because one of the weeks in this month, we will not have any video classes. We'll be only doing podcasts, which will be totally different. So the students don't have to have on, they don't have to watch, they can just listen with their headphones, and we're going to trial it to see if it is as effective just listening to a teacher teach, using like if it was an audio book or if it was audio, and we're going to make notes and things like that, so that the students who want to be musicians, who want to be writers, they get the opportunity to find different ways to explore their creativity, especially with a device that they can do pretty much everything with. Like I'm on it right now, and then I can use it to mark the essays and things like that.
So how do you deal with that child who wants to just do that and not want to do mathematics, not want to do any English? How do you deal with that child?
And that is one of the best questions you can ask me, because you see, the advantage of having your own school is that you can do things in a particular way. Not to say that you can go out of the confines of the Ministry of Education. It is just that what we do, for example, there's a student that we have, they're not strong in the maths. They're not. Regardless of what you do, maybe they may not be able to grasp it, but they're very good at agriculture. So we spoke to the parents and we said, why don't you try to raise some sheep? And remember, at first it was, strange and stuff, and then they eventually got chickens instead. Now the student has 10 chickens. And if you are able to help a student become something, there's no greater feeling as a teacher that you have assisted with a student's development, because that is what they want to do. And the truth is, in some cases, you aren't able to do that through pure academic levels, which is why literacy in terms of understanding and having comprehension skills is more important sometimes than trying to understand quadratic equations, because I never liked them at school. I was never interested in maths. My father's a maths teacher. I always wanted to act, and Randy knows that. I would be on the stage impersonating other teachers and doing things like that, but I'm not interested in the academic work. But luckily, like I said, and that is why I have to say that there are a lot of teachers out there, especially in the public school system. We get this impression that there are teachers out there that don't care, and I do not want the public to believe that is the case, because I am a product of public school, even though I have a private school, and there are a lot of great, fantastic teachers out there, and I have to large off chamomile because it's chamomile month. It
Dear,
would
dear,
be
dear.
remiss of me if I didn't do it, Pearson. I'm surprised Randy didn't jump in there, but yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. We forgive you guys. It's not your fault. It was, after all, just an exam. All right, Dr. Charles. Dr. Charles, I want to look at education a little bit broader for the broader society, though, because the children will model what they see. And oftentimes, as I said in my teaser earlier, you know, we think that education ends once you finish your secondary school, or education ends once you've completed your degree. How do we build as a society the whole scope for people to see that it's lifelong, one, and that you can achieve even at a later age?
I think it is germane to the culture that we create in our schools. And like Akil, having been a product of the public school system myself, from primary right through to tertiary, I can say that my own education, if I can speak from a personal perspective, really stimulated in me the desire to learn. And even though, you know, people would say I'm at the zen, if I have a doctor, I am a lifelong learner. I love to learn. I love to engage with new information all the time. And I think that many of our teachers are very good at helping our students see this. And this is something that we want to see even at a bigger level across our schools, where the school becomes a hub, an exciting space where students want to experiment. It's not just about, I know we're in the online environment right now, but it's not just about being in a space where you're sitting in tidy rows and you're deathly quiet. You know, that is not where stimulating learning is taking place. We want to see in our classrooms, we want to see our classrooms as active spaces where students are allowed to pursue knowledge, where they're allowed to experiment, ask questions, even question the teacher. You don't have to just accept everything your teacher says. Question the teacher, and the teacher should encourage this. You know, and I think when we create our schools, when we allow our schools to be those places of active inquiry, of dynamic creativity, of scientific inquiry, then the school becomes a place that is able to influence for the long term the way a student feels about learning. And I understand what Akil is saying in terms of negative feelings towards the mathematics and the feeling that a lot of what is taught is not relevant. And that is really up to the teacher to be able to show children how what they're learning in school can be applied to real life, and to make those practical applications. And that, in terms of teacher training, that is the direction we want to continue to go in, where teachers can help our students to see how what they are being taught in school is relevant to actual life, and it is not just something that is abstract. And even in terms of things like the humanities, you know, history and literature, those are the areas I would have studied. And I know that they helped me to develop a more compassionate approach to people in terms of wanting to understand people's stories and help people. So we have to help our students to see the connections between the subjects they study and how they are going to live their lives and how they're going to impact their own society and become more developed. And certainly with subjects like history and geography and social studies, those are the subjects which must help our students in Barbados understand their cultural heritage. Subjects like theater arts, etc., and the arts on the whole. We must help our students understand their own cultural heritage, but it doesn't mean it can't be done in mathematics. It doesn't mean it cannot be done in science, with the kinds of problems we bring to the table, the kind of examples we can inject a bit of our history in terms of, for example, the old shop and the shopkeepers and how they added and did it from their heads and that type of thing. So we introduce cultural elements to all of our subject areas. You know, the types of foods our parents ate and the types of things they prepared and how they prepared them in food and nutrition and in science. All of these things can converge to help us to have a better understanding of our Barbadian identity. And I think that that is an excellent tool to building a Barbadian citizen who is strong enough to stand on the world stage and be outstanding because he or she knows where they have come from.
Just drop my bacon and cheese on bread. We're out of time. You know, my goodness, we're out of time. But and we haven't even gone into the different segments of society for which education also has to be applied. Special needs, for instance. And
that's right.
If you don't
and
mind,
we will have a session on special needs education.
I know.
In our
but Dennis, this is where we lobby for the third session. This is where we lobby for part 3.
You're reading my mind. You see that? You're reading my mind. To be continued, ... So I hope you make yourselves yet again available when we want to continue looking at education too in this particular month, because there's so much that we can all learn
welcome
from
that opportunity,
and that we can discuss about as well. So thank you so much, Dr. Denise Charles, Randy Eastman, and Akil Eiffel for joining us this morning, for giving your time.
Thank you.
And I mean, it was a lot of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Morning Barbados will continue right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Well, let's call it 2 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Let's get an update on the news. Here's Wendy Burke.
Prime Minister Mia Motley says there's a major issue of fair trading in a digital economy that has to be addressed. Speaking last night at the Barbados Central Bank's Caribbean Economic Forum entitled From Inequality and Vulnerability to Prosperity for All, Prime Minister Motley charged there must be an equal playing field for producers and manufacturers. She pointed to revelations this week concerning the owner's tech giant's Facebook as proof there's need for fair trading.
Right now we have a major problem that the region is going to have to face, because a large percentage of the advertising revenue with respect to digital advertising is not in fact coming to the local media. Now that has serious implications also for the stability of our democracy. So that's why I smiled, even though you can't see it, when you talked about digital colonialism. And in truth and in fact, in the other area which you're involved in now, one of the biggest reasons for vaccine hesitancy has come as a result of fake news. And the world has that 65%, 2/3 of all of the information from anti-vaxxers was being generated by 12 people. So when we talk about the private oligopoly that are literally controlling this information and movement, we saw it, and in fact today in the creative industries, Dr. Annalie Babb and Mr. Adrian Green reported that their session, their forum, extremely concerned, and that which they spoke about came to pass on Monday when Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, all of them went down. So we believe that, look, we have to pause. I don't know anything about algorithms sufficiently, but I do know that how you program algorithms can determine what comes at the top and what never comes to be seen at all. And therefore, can there be fair trade for persons who are producing goods and who have no access to the kinds of power to influence what goods come to the top and what goods stay at the bottom?
259 new COVID-19 cases, 129 males and 130 females. They were reported on Wednesday from the 2,165 tests conducted by the Bestel Santos Public Health Laboratory. The new positives consist of 65 people under the age of 18. There are 647 people in isolation facilities and 1,491 in home isolation. Under the national vaccination program, 140,159 first doses of the COVID-19 vaccines have been administered. 109,785 people are now fully vaccinated. The Barbados Light and Power Company has filed an application with the Fair Trading Commission for a review of electricity rates. The utility company is seeking an 11.9 increase in rates, which have been in place since 2010. CBC's Sharika Griffith tells us more.
The company says while it has been able to defer a request for a general rate review through careful cost management and process innovations, the significant increase in costs and necessary investments, like the 33-megawatt clean energy bridge plant at Trent St. Lucie, has compelled it to seek an adjustment in electricity prices. It says the expenditures are needed to maintain a safe, reliable and resilient electricity service. However, acknowledging the economic challenges brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, the company says it has designed rates to contain the impact to customers' bills. It is therefore proposing that increases should be no more than $6 for those customers using less than 150 kilowatt hours in a month. These customers account for 35% of the domestic service tariff group, assumed to consist mostly of low-income customers. The typical bill increase resulting from the proposed rates is estimated to range from 5 to 20%, depending on the applicable tariff. Light and Power says an estimated 10% reduction in fuel costs, anticipated from the commissioning of the Clean Energy Bridge by the end of the year, is expected to substantially mitigate the impact of the proposed increase in rates even further. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
Well, that's a wrap for news. D'Artagnan Dalrymple, and it's all back over to you now. Do enjoy the balance of your morning.
Oh, Desmonda, thank you so much. You have a wonderful weekend as well. And remember, take a little time to rest. Desmonda. 6.5 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. We're coming right back with more on Morning Barbados after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
9 minutes after 7, time for you now to talk to me, folks. Call me now on 228-5562 or 228-5563 because here comes today's Crumbs question of the day. 228-5562 or 228-5563. The question is, the Bajan Dutch stove is known by another name. What is it? The Bajan Dutch stove is known by another name. What is it? 228-5562 or 228-5563. Call now and let me know. The Bajan Dutch stove is known by another name. What is it? Good morning to you. Hello.
Yeah, good morning to you. How are you? You can repeat the question for me, Kip Pearson.
The question is, the Bajan Dutch stove is known by another name. What is it?
The Bajan Dutch stove, the stove that you cook on.
Don't ask me. What do you think? What do you think?
I don't know. I never heard about a Bajan Dutch stove yet.
In other words, you don't know the answer, right?
No, I don't know.
Thanks for trying, my friend. Have a great weekend, all right? Good man. Wah, wah, wah. 228-5562 or 228-5563. The Bajan Dutch stove is known by another name. What is it? Know your history. We just talked about that in education. So the Bajan Dutch stove is known by another name. What is it? Good morning to you. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Where are you watching from?
St. Michael.
And what's your answer for me?
Is it the oil stove?
Don't ask me a question. What's your answer for me?
The oil stove.
That is wrong. That's trying though. 228-5562 or 228-5563. Y'all don't get me yet. Y'all don't get me yet. 228-5562 or 228-5563. The Bajan Dutch stove is known by another name. What is it? The production crew say, oh, I don't know. 228-5562 or 63. We have someone there, do we? Hi.
I'm calling from...
Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing well too. Thank you so much for asking. Where are you watching from?
I'm calling from St. Philip.
St. Philip. What's your answer?
Is it the Fairhurst?
Don't ask me questions. What's the
We used to call
answer?
it the Fairhurst.
That's what you would have called it, the Firehurst?
Yes, please. Fairhurst.
Do you know the Bajan Dutch stove at all?
We used to cook on wood. We would make up a stove outside on wood and call it a Fairhurst.
You're getting so close, but you're not describing what I want to hear. Thanks, here. 228-5562, quick. 228-5562 or 228-5563. The Bajan Dutch stove is also known by another name. What is it? Y'all know this. Morning, hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Where are you watching from?
St. Michael.
And what's your answer?
My answer would be a coal pot.
Why is that your answer?
I think that is the correct answer. I believe we had one. I'm not sure if it was called a coal pot, but I assume it is the coal pot. Pardon?
Do you have one?
Pardon?
Okay. My question to you, ma'am, is do you or did you have a Dutch stove?
We had one, but I believe it was called a coal pot.
You had one.
Yes.
Called a Dutch stove, but you also called it a coal pot.
Yes.
That's what you're saying to me.
Yes.
And you believe that this coal pot was also called a Dutch stove.
Yes.
And that's
because
because your grandmother called it a Dutch stove?
Yes.
You're making me laugh, though. You're really making me laugh. What do you think I should say to you?
I'm listening for the reaction.
What? Oh, you want his sound effect?
Yes.
Drop a sound effect on her lip. Yes! You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
Thank you very much.
Is the other name. You're welcome. Thank you. Stay on the phone. Don't put down. Don't put down. Don't put down. We have something for you from Crumbs Bakery. Congratulations indeed. It's the coal pot is the answer. Well done indeed. So folks, that's it for this week's Our Crumbs question of the day. Should it be God's will, next week, Monday, we have another Crumbs question of that day for you. We'll take a break here, right here. We're back with more on Morning Barbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
15 and a half after 7 o'clock, something grand is happening tomorrow. There's going to be a grand reunion of the Harrison College HCQC alumni associations. And so tomorrow is going to be the night of the stars. Talk a little bit more about that, what to expect tomorrow, are Cheryl Phillips, who is the president of the alumni show, Grant Morris, who is the alum commemorative publication, and there's also Rudo Catlin, who is the president of the Old Scholars Association for Harrison College, I believe it is. Good morning to you. Hello.
Morning.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming through. Good to have you. Cheryl, you're in Toronto. Tomorrow, there's going to be the Night of the Stars, a big event. Now, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on tomorrow?
Sure. So the event actually has two phases. One is the meet and greet, which starts at 5:30. And that's where alumni from across the world are going to gather in a virtual meeting room. And it's going to be, actually, there's going to be different segments of the rooms. So one room would be right for the 70s, one for the 80s, so the decades, 7 decades of rooms. And that gives you the opportunity, an alumni, to go in and see maybe their past roommate or classmates that they haven't seen since Adam was a lad, and hopefully recognize them and socialize. And we will also, it will be in 15-minute segment. We will move from one question to another question. And then at 9, that goes from 5:30 to 6:30. And then there's a musical interlude from 6:30 to 7. And at 7 o'clock, where the grand event starts to unfold. And this is where we honor 8 alumni that have done extraordinary work across not just locally, regionally, and internationally. And then from there, we go to just as I said, recognizing those alumni. And but we're not going to tell you who the winners are, of course. And you must come and join in with us tomorrow.
Of course. I see you're rocking your QC tie. It must mean so much. Where did you get it from? You're in Toronto.
You aren't going to believe this, person, but this traveled with me from Barbados. It's nearly 50 years old. I shouldn't say that. Let's just say it's about 5 years old. Yes. I had it in my drawer, and today is I Love QC Day, coincidentally.
Right.
So I thought I should put my tie on. And I can't remember how to actually tie it, so that's why it looks a little askew.
That's okay. That's okay. But I'm told that while they're in Toronto as well, you're part of the fundraising. You're helping to raise some funds in support of some events and different projects you're doing here on the island. How is it garnering support from those who are a part of the HCQC alumni associations to contribute?
Well, because this is the first time that all the alumni associations have actually gotten together and worked together, it has had so much enthusiasm. We have, for instance, now nearly close to 500 people registered to attend these sessions on Saturday. And that's unheard of. So the enthusiasm is in there. And we're also, there are many avenues in which they can pledge, and people are coming up pledging. And this started just even last year when we were trying to raise funds so that we can send laptops to Barbados when COVID initially hit, and so people have been very generous. We would like them to like others to be more generous, and so that we can get to our very lofty goal.
Indeed. Rudo, you're from Harrison College, and you too are part of all of this. So talk to me a little bit about the signing up, because I know you have to sign up to be a part of tomorrow's Night of the Stars and to be a part of the greet and a whole host of things and how to contribute. Walk us through what you think we ought to be able to do starting today if we haven't already done so.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Well, if you have not signed us yet, guys, it's really simple, right? Any question that you need asked, you go to 2020 HCQC gathering without a G at the end, @gmail.com, right? and you can sign up there. You can let persons know the year that you were schooling, your age, all that kind of stuff, and you can sign up there. You can also go to our website, which is hcqcalumninetwork.org. I think that once you're able to navigate the website, you'll be able to see the donate buttons. You can order your commemorative publication. You could actually even start donating from right now. You know, as you sit down here listening to me talk, you can click the donate now button. There are options that you can use to go through. We have our Facebook and we have our Instagram pages. There are so many ways to reach us, to sign up, to get more information. But if you remember nothing else, it's 2020 HCQC Gathering without the G, and you can post your questions there, and we will surely direct you as to what you need to do.
You look as though you're from the 90s decade, so I know you're looking forward to that meet and greet tomorrow. You know, you're one of those youngsters who could have left school and said, I'm done with that. I'm not looking back. But you continue to look back and contribute to your school. Why?
Well, I'll say this. When I left HC, I remember taking off my tie, and I thought to myself, you can imagine, I never have to wear school clothes again. And I thought that was a phenomenal feeling. And be honest with you, I did not return immediately. I did not come back, you know, for years. And, you know, it's only a former alumni of mine, time, you know, big at yourself, Tammy. And she reached out to me to, you know, to come and just help a little bit. And coming back to the school, I just realized that there was a lot to be done. I'm in financial planning, and you know, I'm in the business of helping young people, helping youngsters in terms of financial literacy, and that is one of my passions. And it just started there. And as I got into it, I realized that there's so much more that we could be doing. There is so much more that could be done. And then others started to come on board. Around that time, I think it was just 7-8 years ago. We had Mosaic was coming to fruition. Our basketball Clash of the Decades, it started. And I can tell you something, right? If Clash of the Decades is anything to go on, you know,
yes.
You know, where we have successfully linked 7 decades, right? I go big up Shane Sanford on this one, I can't say without him. And we are in the chat now where I talk to persons that are from, you know, they would have gone to school in the 50s, you know, we play basketball, and it's such a massive network that has grown. I can't even begin to imagine what's going to happen at the end of this. So it's just everything seemed to come together all at once, and we're just hoping that this is a culmination of that.
It's going to be fantastic indeed. But you mentioned commemorative publication, and this is where you come in, Grant. Mr. Morris, talk to us a little bit about this publication, putting it together, and why do you think this ought to be a real have in the hands of so many people?
Well, I'm a member of the awards, the Night of Stars Awards Committee, and it sort of dawned upon me that to award 8 of our graduates at the Night of Stars Awards would not really do justice to the many graduates that we have, not only in Barbados, but worldwide. And so the idea was conceived to prepare a commemorative publication of many graduates as possible. And we sent out letters, and we received some 350 bios from Barbados, the United States, Canada, and also the UK. Now, the publication will be roughly about 400 pages. It will be a coffee table book, and it will also include articles about the schools, pictures, and it should be a very interesting publication. Now, the cost of the publication is, if you're in Barbados, it's $100 Barbadian. If you're in the United States, it's 100 US. And if you're in Canada or UK, it's 100 Canadian. And of course, you have to pay for your shipping, etc. We believe that this publication will serve 2 things. Firstly, to raise funds for the 2 schools, and secondly, use as an opportunity for the younger students coming up to see what other students from the schools have done, and not only Harrison College and Queen's College students, but also students from the other schools on the island.
And so you're showing the contribution of both colleges to the development of this island. But Cheryl, I'll give you the chance to tell us again how we can order this publication, how we can sign up to be a part of everything, because time is against us at the moment.
Sure. I'll just make it really simple. Just go to 2020 HC Gathering without the G at gmail.com. And there you'll find everything. You'll find ways to get the invite to to Saturday's gala, and you will also be able to order the commemorative publication. And I'll tell you, you're into weight training and fitness, get the publication. It'll keep you in shape because and it's enjoyable reading.
Sure, you're such a, oh my goodness, 400 pages big. So it's going to be a really good publication. But it's $100 in whatever currency you're in, it's $100, and you can place your order online as well. I know we would have given people up until the end of September to have pre-orders, but hey, anytime, any day the publication is available, just pay your $100 and support these worthy causes as well. So tomorrow night, all starting at 5:30, the meet and greet. And then thereafter, the whole Night of Stars will unfold with everything else, right?
That's right. That's right. And we will continue after our night. We will have other events that we'll be planning as we go forward, because we do want to make that massive goal so that we can actually help the schools. Their priority. We didn't even mention this very quickly, but there are priority projects for the school. So, for instance, there's a robotics lab that Harrison College and Queen's College really would like to have. And we want to complete the sports pavilion at Queen's College, as well as enhance both halls so that the performing arts can continue for both schools. Those are the three major priority goals. And as we go through the rest of the decade, those priorities are going to shift, and we'll be raising more funds to help the schools, because that's really critical.
I want to thank you so much for joining us, each of you. Cheryl Phillips, Grant Morris, and Rulo Catlin from the QCHC Alumni Association. Best of luck with tomorrow's activity. Remember, folks, it's open to everyone. You can watch it too. So just look out for it as well.
On YouTube.
Oh, indeed. Thank you. All the best going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys.
Morning Barbados continues right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 7:30. Now it's time for us to take a look at boosting your employability as a student. This is good for all of you young people. Take a listen to this, because joining us right now to look at that is Brittany Seeley, who is the founder and chief executive officer of Work Consultancy Inc. Brittany, good morning to you.
Good morning. I'm happy to be back.
Long time no see. It is so good to see you. Merry Christmas. It's been so long.
Happy New Year.
All of that indeed. I like the subject, boosting your employability as a student. Where do we start in being able to boost our ability?
Yes, this is a very interesting topic and very relevant right now, because for students, the market is still very tedious. I know that a lot of students may be discouraged about their future given COVID, and they're not sure what the market looks like for them. So hopefully these tips would help them out. So we can get started with tip number 1, which is to have a CV by 16, which is create your CV and create your resume early. Now, in Barbados, persons usually start working, or they can work from the age of 16. So if you really get that resume in by 16, you're able to improve it. You're able to ask any employers to take a look at it, family members, and improve it along the way. So you're including passions, your aspirations, volunteer experience, any skills you may have. So for example, foreign languages, and also your education as well. Start somewhere, and then you're more than likely to have a rocking CV by the time you actually graduate university or by the time you leave school.
I think it's so important to be honest, though, when you're filling that information in. Don't embellish it with all the pretty fancy, hopeful things, because then see right through it when you present it to a potential employer.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, Report Barbados provides a step-by-step guide, free guide on WhatsApp. So persons can go and check out their WhatsApp, their Instagram. It's under the UN program. So I think it's an amazing opportunity for young students to really get their CV started if they don't know where to begin.
And I'm glad you recommended that, because, sometimes you don't know where to begin, and you can make it so stiff that the person who sees it does a sense of your personality or your work ethic. But sometimes you can also make it so flowery that you think, you've got to be kidding me, you're not serious about work at all. So finding the right frame within which to craft your CV or your resume is so critical. And you say the U Report now has it available, that we can have it as a guide. But we can also call you too, Brittany, Work Consultancy Inc., and you can guide us through this.
Yeah, absolutely. So persons can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Just look for Work Consultancy and you'll find us. But that actually leads into tip number 2, which is surround yourself with knowledge. Because following pages like Work Consultancy, I know that there are a number of professional accounts on social media provide career guidance and job hunting tips. And so at the age of 16, you're probably like, I don't really want to follow those types of accounts. But by at least getting it there and scrolling down your timeline and seeing what's available, the information will begin to stick. And then you're able to share it with your friends. You're able to be even more advanced than them because you have this additional knowledge from the professionals.
I think what I'm hearing you to say in this tip too is also to begin to take life a little bit more seriously. Plan and take it a lot more seriously. So finding those places where the information is good and rich is critical. Get to know what's happening, get to know what's going on, get to know how you can, as opposed to sit and wait for it to drop into your lap. Be a lot more proactive than some of us would have grown up to be. And so I'm so happy you're able to say that to a lot of our young people watching today, that, get those tips, associate yourself with those with social media pages, those different platforms that allow you to be able to build and get yourself ready for the world of work as well. That's tip number 2. What's next?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And proactivity is the key right now because, like I mentioned, so many young people are discouraged about the future. And if you look at the job market, it is a bit daunting because you have so many persons who are overqualified and they have all of these years of experience also applying some of the same positions. So what do you do? And that's why they have to start early, because then they would be able to have a better chance by the time they graduate.
Good. So surround yourself with knowledge. Right. That's tip 2.
Yes. And now tip 3 is build your work experience while at school. And I'll explain this because this is a big deal for the younger generation. Oftentimes persons say, I can't get a job without experience, and I can't get experience without a job. That's it. And this tip provides a different perspective to that saying, because you really can build upon that volunteer experience. I know that we has volunteer hours that you can even add to your CV. Even when you're younger and you may be in secondary school, start the hunt there. Call businesses in the industry that you might be interested in. See if you can volunteer with them. Even in the backyard at COVID, like if you're interested in going into agriculture or farming, if your grandparents have a farm and you help them out regularly, that is something that you can put on your CV. So persons are looking for standard professional experience, but all of these things really do add up.
Yes, service organizations are also critical. You know, to lend your support to service organizations also helps to build your character, one, but it also helps to make you a lot more marketable too. And that's where you can also gain your work experience when you lend yourself in that kind of way. And, you know, pushing out the trolley at the supermarket is one thing, but also being able to say, you know, I'm a part of the Lions, I'm a Leo. That kind of thing is also critical to being able to present yourself as a more rounded potential candidate for a position as well. These are great tips.
Yes.
Becky.
Thank you. And it builds those interpersonal skills as well. So you're able to add that onto CV, and the CV, which was so basic, it now gets to have additional fluff and more meaty information on it, which is really good. And that's why I appeal even to universities to really continue the internships. And I even want to make this appeal to businesses all around Barbados. I know that my company, we have the professional development internship at BCC and UWI Cave Hill, which helps students transition into the world of work. And so it would be wonderful for businesses to be able to partner with us and other initiatives at universities and colleges so that students are able to build upon that experience. Because really and truly, how will they get the experience if you don't give them a try? So I really think it's important here for them to join with universities and colleges and help students get the internships, get their foot in the door. Being able to speak with HR professionals and just other persons in the industry would be great.
Spot on, Brittany. As always, very sage advice indeed. So Brittany is with Work Consultancy. Find it across social. You know, we say social media, you younger people say social. Work Consultancy, you do that there. And begin that discussion, folks. Younger people, it is so critical. Take this seriously. Take Brittany's offer seriously as well. Contact Work Consultancy and let's make you better and more prepared. And while even now you're still in school for that world of work, you're building your employability. Brittany CD, thank you so much as always. Looking forward to even more from you, my friend. Welcome
Thank
back.
you so much, Pearson. Take care.
You too. Thank you so much. Morning Barbados continues right after this.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We're 20 minutes now to go to 8 o'clock. I've got a song for you. I've got a song for you. I've got a song for you. We're going to sing Hope for Haiti. That's the title of a song by Leo Welch. He joins us now to talk a little bit about that, and we're going to give you a teaser to see what it is all about. Leo, good morning to you.
Good morning, Pearson.
Good to see you. How is Karen this morning, by the way? See, I'm smiling because Karen is an early... That's because she's an early morning wall crawler, indeed. And so I would have met her almost that time ago. Indeed. Now, you've put together and produced a song and a video, a song called Sing Hope for Haiti. Why?
First, I did the short background to the song. It was written 11 years ago. And the first earthquake in Haiti. And I didn't get a chance to do it then. But when this came up in terms of this earthquake, I thought I would go and out there and see what I can do with it.
So here it is. You back then had the foresight to have crafted this song, Sing Hope for Haiti. And it is as relevant today as it was relevant then. Because Haiti itself, as we all know, is still under the threat of all sorts of things happening there. How much of the news of Haiti really triggers this reaction in you? You follow it closely, but why?
Why? Historically, it's really bad. I believe that if you pass, you can't frame your future. And people need to have pass to and use strength, resilience.
Yeah, resilience indeed.
Those things.
I know you're doing this not simply. Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I know you're doing this not simply because you can write and you can sing and you can do a video. You're raising funds to support Haiti. So how does that work? The raising of funds through this video in support of Haiti?
Well, that was the concept from that was your so a clear path, right? How we wanted to to Alexander the guys make the guys, everyone. We are looking at how we build that of the program in those things. Starting here because this is where I start 11 years old because I didn't understand. I didn't appreciate this is in the corporate that was for me.
All right, let's take a look at the song, Sing Hope for Haiti, and let's see if we can resolve a little bit of those audio issues as well. Take a look at the song by Leo Welch. It's called Sing Hope for Haiti. It's brand new.
Nature moved in lives with love. Humanity cried across the world. Broken hearts and broken dreams, broken bones and broken things. When life goes on, time to stand for human dignity. Now in one voice we will sing hope for Haiti now. Reach out to Haiti now. Lend your shoulders so they can lean on you. Lift them up from the ground. They can fall any further down. Keep hope, keep love alive. Lift them up, lift them high. Watch the pains of human suffering. The enemies latch out who won't forgive you. Now tears fill up our eyes as we watch the innocent die. And life goes on. Time to stand for human dignity. Basic rights for all. Now in one voice we must sing hope for Haiti now. Reach out to Haiti now. Lend your shoulders so they can lean on you. Lift them up from the ground. They can't fall any further down.
them up and lift them high. Song written, song produced, song sung, video done by Leo Welch. Leo, where can people get copies of this song so by their support of it, the fund to help Haiti?
We as soon as that's why we did the thing with you first, so that we would then go to the process of releasing the song and putting the editors in place that we want to support the venture. And quickly, I will say, my team, they signed up to media, did the video. As Daniel has been a Superman in putting this together. My wife Karen has been with me and be pushing, and the video with another girl called Pearl. She started the video, but some technical issues and equipment issues to shift a material arrangement.
All right. Well, Leo, well done on your effort. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really hope that everybody now really supports the venture because it's for a very, very worthy cause. And keep singing, keep creating, keep doing what you're doing. And as always, say hi to Karen.
A lot more. There's one or two. That's the next release.
Okay. All right, my friend. You do take care. No problem. Thank you so much for joining us here on Morning Barbados. Thank you. Leo Welch is his name. You're very welcome. Morning Barbados will continue right after this. We're going to go to the UK to meet this outstanding Barbadian vocalist. You can't wait to introduce her to you. Stay with us. So outstanding. Indra, good morning to you.
Morning, how are you?
Good morning. I am great. Good to see you as always. Now, you know how I feel about you as an artist. I think you're one of our best and perhaps so underrated because you are so creative. Well done. Wake up call.
Yeah, Wake Up Call is one of the songs on the new reggae EP.
Oh,
That
I
one,
mean, the video shot there in the UK at Jurassic Coast. Just looking at the imagery alone, it's very gripping and large indeed. How was it for you filming that right there almost on the precipice?
well, it's magnificent to even see because, in Barbados, our hills are like about this high. So to see something that was so like vast and so huge is like magnificent. So it was beautiful to be there in general, and then to share that view with everybody who's watching the video.
It is a lovely song. Wake Up Call is truly an inspiring song as well. So for those who don't know, tell them what Wake Up Call is about.
It's just literally exactly what it says. It's just to remember that you still have a brain while opinions are like, remember that we're susceptible to falling asleep, and this is not the time to fall asleep. Obviously, the situation that's global has kind of opened our eyes to everything really about priorities, just about the precious of life, about health, about agendas, all them things, let's be real. So it's just like a plea, a wake-up call literally for people to not just blindly just be critical thinkers and to not be asleep in these times.
Your life really, you've been producing and presenting music of that nature where it causes us to pause and do a lot of introspection, but at the same time be aware within the space that we operate and to be conscious of what's going on in the moment. And you're saying in this moment, wake up folks, take the call and be aware of what's going on around you, and to also be aware of your potential to make it through whatever is going on as well. Brilliant. So were you the writer? Were you the crafter who had the idea, the vision for going to Jurassic Coast to film this video?
No, I didn't even know about it. For the song happened after a conversation with one of my sisters, Danielle, and the song basically came in my backyard, my then backyard in Barbados. I just sat down on a brick and just had my phone, and just the words just came out, and then the melody came, and then I sent it as a voice note to the producer who's here in the UK, Chris Chemist of Reality Shock Records, and he was like, this song, and bring more songs like this, because he's all about message music. So he and all the musicians are responsible for the song that you hear, because obviously the little voice note was just me singing with birds and crickets and ice cream trucks in the background, basically.
Caribbean sounds. But there you are now in the UK, and you're also working on Crying Out, another one. What's Crying Out about?
Crying out is, it really is a cry, just to consider, remember, and reach out to the less fortunate, to the hungry, to the homeless, to the hopeless, and to those who think that they're helpless. And that could look like many different types of people from many different walks of life. So crying out is basically like, sometimes I literally feel pain for people that I have not met, or groups of people who you just think about how might they be going through this situation. Like, for example, when lockdowns happen, I was like, well, what about the homeless people? What about the homeless children? People saying they started to realize the importance of family. So what about orphan children? So it's just that kind of like, remember that people are crying out, even if it's expressed in different ways, from the wealthy financially to the obviously suffering. We have all some sort of pain, whether we cover up, deny it, or are still working through it. So it's just like, literally, like, think about those people who are crying out. We all do in different ways in different seasons, but especially the less fortunate. So that's what Crying Out is about. And it's out too, it's actually on the EP. The video is at editing stage now.
Right, right. You know, there's a song that we play a lot on 94.7, The Best 24/7, done by you, and the words keep reverberating in my head all the time. Jesus is my savior. Jesus is my... Sweet. I love that song. I love that song. Must tell you, I'm thinking, you know, I love your music. So you write from a space of compassion. You write from a space of understanding and empathy and all of those kinds of things. And now here it is, you're in the UK working with this outstanding producer to produce the EP. When is that EP available and how can that EP be accessible?
Okay, well, the reggae EP is out, but there's also an album on the way. That is kind of in the making. So for right now, the introduction is the reggae EP, and I think it's called Wake Up Call. And just look for it on Bandcamp. It's on iTunes and most places online where music is sold. So if you look for Wake Up Call, Reggae, Indra, it will come up, and it is available for sale. And meanwhile, still more music is making, but also two things. I forgot one thing, and I gotta make sure that I give credit where credit is due. For My Savior, that actually was brought to me. The core was written by Sylvester Jean-Baptiste, I think it is. I hope it is. And the song was brought to me like partially finished by Chris. So altogether, it's Sil, Chris, and then myself. So that didn't spring from me automatically.
Okay.
From Sil. Then the Jurassic Coast, I just heard about it and I had seen like a little preview when I was in Barbados. It's like so magnificent. So that's actually the same Chris Chemist is who filmed, directed the video. So yeah, Jurassic Coast.
Brilliant work working along with Chris Chemist indeed. So you're busy there in the UK. We can't wait to receive all that you're there cooking up in your kitchen, musical kitchen, for all of us to enjoy. I can't. She's got the ladle and all there. Because we know whatever comes out of your concoction, we know it's going to be fantastic. And you continue being the stimulating person you are, the creative person you are, and the very awake person that you are as well, because you're so aware. And that's what's important. And your song, Wake Up Call, calls for all of us to be equally aware and awake while things are happening. You know, rise, shine, you know, there are things that are happening. So Indra, I'm looking forward to all that you're still to offer. I wish you only the very best, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for the invitation, and morning everybody in Barbados.
All right, Indra Rada, she's right there in the UK working on her next production. Her album is coming out really, really soon, and we're looking forward. Of course, you can hear music on 94.7, The Best 24/7. Who is that? That's 94.7 FM, the only 100% Barbadian music station on this island. So that's the place you're going to hear all of the best of literally who we are, from reggae to spooge to soca to hip hop, dancehall, slow pop, everything right there on that one station. I do encourage you to take a listen. You will fall in love immediately with who we are as a people on radio, 94.7 FM. Now, just want to remind you to watch us all week next week, every single day, because I don't want you to miss those locations. I want you to spot the pink ribbon, all in association with the breast screening program. Watch every single day, and every single day identify the location. Now, Monday, note Monday's location, Tuesday, so on, and right down to Friday. At the end of the week, you will send one list with all of those days, locations, to the email morninbarbados@cbc.bb, MORNIN Barbados@cbc.bb. Look, it's right there on your screen. That's our email address. So at the end of the week, that's what you do. And then you stand by, because somebody's going to win with the Barbados Breast Screening Program. So look out to spot the pink ribbon all week. Next week, watch every minute of Mornin Barbados and stand by to win. That's it for today, folks, and that's it for the week as well. We want to wish you a wonderful weekend. For Alicia As Grant, our producer, Ruel Ford, our technical director, Christopher Blenman, our sound engineer, and Pearson Bowen, wishing you a wonderful today. Take care, everybody.
Wake up.